At this time, I would like to call to order the Tewksbury Finance Committee meeting for April 5th, 2021. First up on tonight's agenda is the warrant articles for the annual and special town meetings. I'd like to skip to the bylaw article. Which one is that, Richard or Steve?
It's two of them on the annual town meeting warrant. Article 35 and 34, is it?
Sounds right.
34 and 35. Yeah.
All right. You can see my screen.
Yep.
Yep.
Although we're not really going to be reading the whole thing, but
Before we dive in here, Mr. Montori, did you find an answer to my question? If this is a 2/3 article or a simple majority article?
I think Steve will address that tonight.
Okay.
We had a mixed answer. That part of it could be a majority and part of it 2/3.
Okay.
Steve, you want to go with the?
Sure. I can start with that question because that is kind of a important question. And town council is working on this right now. He's trying to reach out to the Attorney General's office for some guidance on this. The recent legislation that was signed into law by the governor back in January has housing amendments are supposed to be simple majority, and trying to reach out to the state and find out what do you do when you're doing a comprehensive rewrite? How would that be handled? We still haven't gotten very clear guidance on it. One of the thoughts that we have right now, and again, this is in talking with town council, is that we would go forward with Article 34 as a 2/3 because probably 90% of Article 34 is non-housing related. It wouldn't fall under that simple majority. And if we received some type of guidance prior to town meeting that we had to separate it out, town council thinks that we may be able to do that within the scope of Article 34 itself. So we would kind of address that and say, these items are going to be simple majority and they won't take effect unless the entire body of the article is approved at a 2/3 majority. So that's what we're thinking right now, and hopefully we'll get more guidance once Kevin Feely's able to talk with the Attorney General's office about that. Okay. So with that being said, we're still seeking more information. I was thinking about just the numbers alone a little bit. The reason why we got into this process of updating the zoning bylaw was in 2015, the selectmen started to realize that we had over 100 amendments to the zoning bylaw since 2002, which was the last time we went through this process. And they said, maybe we should form a separate committee, which became the zoning bylaw committee, and had on it representatives from the planning board, board of selectmen. We had the zoning enforcement officer, the building commissioner was on it, and then we had 2 residents, one that had private sector experience and one that had public sector experience, assist us with this. And we had 3 consultants, technically 4 consultants, but 3 originally, one that had worked on the town's 2003 master plan and the 2016 master plan. Another individual that was planning director in Amherst and Burlington, Vermont, worked for the state and has extensive knowledge and does a lot of training for zoning in the state. And then the third person of that original group was a former assistant attorney general who kind of set up the process that we use now to have zoning bylaws approved at the state level. So the committee was formed over a 5-year period. They met 44 times, 9 public presentations. We have 9 videos that are posted up on YouTube right now that are short 5-minute videos that kind of explain different segments of the proposed zoning bylaw. We reduced the number of overlay districts by 7. I think we had 12 overlay districts, and we've reduced that number down to 5, which added a lot of confusion to people, both applicants and abutters, as to what applied and what didn't apply. We added 16 additional uses in our use table so that now it's a little bit clear as to how we define different types of uses and where they would be allowed. And then we put up 10 drafts on the website over the course of those 5 years. So it's gone through a number of iterations, a number of public vetting. And lastly, I think I would need to point out that there were 2 things that we received from federal and state agencies. One, FEMA through the state asked for an update to our floodplain district, which is in this draft that is going before a town meeting in May. And then the EPA with the Sutton Brook disposal area, Rocco's landfill, they had asked that we include language in there to help protect the area around the Rocco's landfill. So that stuff is in this article. It's not in the existing bylaw, and would cause somewhat of a problem for us if we didn't approve the bylaw in its entirety. And then we also have marijuana uses, which, if people remember, we ended up having a moratorium on adult use marijuana, the recreational marijuana. Then we had a sunset, and the sunset expired on non-retail type uses. So this zoning bylaw in Article 34 addresses the non-retail adult recreational uses. So that would be for cultivation, manufacturing, and research components. So again, it's a very well thought out, well laid out document that addresses a number of problems that we've experienced with our zoning bylaw over the last 15 years. The way that we've written this summary is that it kind of goes through and talks about all of the things that we put into it, and hopefully it can pass on that issue. The one thing that there is on the website of the Zoning Bylaw Committee, on that landing page, there's a point where you'll see the a link directly to the YouTube videos, so people can get in there very quickly and look at those items. But then on the left sidebar, there's a copy of the article, the draft bylaw itself, the zoning map, a summary of the changes, a side-by-side comparison of the existing bylaw to the proposed bylaw, and I think we also have listed out what parcels would change if the zoning map was approved. So again, it was a pretty extensive, exhaustive process. And I think I was around in 2002 when we did this. What we've put together this time is a much better product that I believe serve the town well in the years to come. So I'm here to answer questions. If people start getting in the weeds, I may not have the answers at my fingertips, and we'll have to get back to you, but that's fine. It looks like Rob's muted.
You're right, I was. Let's go around. Rich, do you have any questions on 34?
No, I thought the videos were very, very helpful. I watched all of them. Steve, I just don't want you going off and being a meteorologist now. But I like I said, I do think they were very helpful. The only question I have now, you mentioned the floodplain maps contain, or the new zoning maps contain the new floodplain?
You know, it's interesting because it's more of language there was language changes. The districts themselves did not change on the map at all. So we did not receive updated maps from FEMA. It was just the language of the bylaw itself, or the
Okay, so nothing moved. It's more of a language thing.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Jason, do you have any questions? Oh, sorry, Rich, you still going?
Yes. I think you have a spelling error. Recaptioning? Capturing?
I don't know if that's, it probably needs a hyphen in the,
Yeah, something. I just used to be I used to be responsible for documentation, so
and just for clarification, what's here is just a summary of the actions. It's not the full article itself, which is 108 pages long. That will be in a separate warrant, if I remember correctly, but I could be corrected by the town manager if I'm wrong.
No, we plan to have copies of the entire bylaw at town meeting. The document you see in front of you is what we will mail out to residents because we can't mail out the whole document. Once I put together the final posting of the warrant that has the entire bylaw in it, I'll email it to the committee.
I had nothing else.
Okay, Jason?
Great.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Cook?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me all right?
Can hear you, yes.
I have no questions. I just want to, after 48 years living in this town and reviewing this article and all of the work that went into it by Steve Sadwick and the subcommittee, I applaud it and I thank them for it. I am in favor of this article.
Thank you, Tom. Dave?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And is this, Steve, is this the, I'm assuming it's almost 100%, but is it 100% of what we saw last year? Because we were going to bring it forward last year and then decided not to.
Right. So the only two changes since last year were the updates that we had received from FEMA and from the EPA. Those are the only two new things that have been added.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would applaud the effort as well. Good work, and I am fully supporting of this article. I don't have any further questions. Do we want to look at 35, or it's just the map,
Sure.
right?
So when 34 is approved, 35 will be its companion piece, because in 34 we lay out a number of zoning districts. I'd mentioned about we removed the overlays. Those a lot of the overlays became just regular zoning districts in this new bylaw. So that needed to be identified on the map. And I guess probably the most significant thing on here that I would want to point out is you see, and unfortunately it's kind of sideways, tilting down towards the left. It should be tilting up towards the right if it was landscaped properly. But there's that green area that really kind of jumps out, and that area there is the Great Swamp area, and currently that is it's zoned as a heavy industrial district, but given all of the environmental constraints out there, there's significant wetlands and everything else. The committee decided that that should just be zoned as park district, and the ownership of that land really falls to the town and in some instances to National Grid. So there really would never be any type of development out there, and it's been long overdue that came off of a heavy industrial designation, because it just isn't. And this map will correct that. The other thing I would point out that the map does and was part of the efforts of the committee was a long time ago, back in 1992, the town instituted the commercial district along Route 38. And the way that it was worded was that it was on both sides of Route 38, 291 feet deep off of the center line of Route 38. And so you had properties that ended up becoming split zoned. And this map and this zoning effort that we've undertaken corrects that and puts the zoning district at the property boundary line versus creating situations where we have conflict within individual parcels.
Okay, that makes. Anybody have any questions on the map? Article 35. I don't see any. Okay. We're good with Article 34 and 35. Thank you, Steve.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you to your committee. A lot of work in there.
Thanks.
All right, we'll head back to the beginning.
Thanks, Steve.
Article 1 is just the election.
Article 1 is just the election, yep.
Okay, so we'll go down to Article 2.
Article 2 is standard article, what we pay the elected officials in town.
If anybody has any questions, jump right in. But this one's pretty standard, I think. And Article 3.
This is the consent calendar with 4 articles in it, accepting the annual report, which should be online soon. Lease purchase agreements, authorizing me to enter into them, authorizing the Chapter 90 funds for the town, and reauthorizing the existing revolving funds.
Okay, anybody any questions on those? Okay, so these guys. Article 4. The budget, right?
Yeah, so this is the budget. Since I presented the budget, I think I gave you any changes to budgets that occurred. I will be sending you an updated streetlight budget based on the changes I made over the past couple of weeks to the streetlight budget. The one thing I wanted to ask the committee, there is an article further in regarding upgrades in the personnel for some non-union employees. Some of those upgrades are built into the budget. Did you want me to take them out of the budget and put them into the article, or keep them in the budget where they are?
Or put them into which article? Just a separate one?
Yeah, there's a separate article further on to approve the cost of living increase for non-union. And it shows the upgrades that are going to take place within the salary table. Did you want me to take the dollar amounts out of the budgets and add it to the total to be raised in the personnel bylaw budget, or keep them in the budget?
Well, I mean, once approved, they'll be in the budget going
Correct.
forward. I'm okay with leaving it in the budget. How does everybody else feel?
I'm me, boss.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay, I'll do that. I just wanted to make sure you knew. So I'm going to send you, there are 2 budgets that changed over the last couple of days. I'll send them to you. The first is the building department budget. We just hired a new local inspector, and the salary that we had to pay him was higher than we had in the budget, so I needed to adjust that. And one of the upgrades that's in the budget was the budget wasn't correct, so I needed to adjust that for the town accountant's office. So I'll send you those 2 budgets. The total change for both budgets combined is $4,395. So other than that, there are no changes to the budget other than the streetlight budget I mentioned the other day.
Okay. Moving on to Article 5.
So 5, 6, and 7, I'm going to ask to hold off on. I'm still negotiating one of the contracts. I do have tentatives on the others, and I just want to, before I finalize, present all of these articles, I want to have them all done.
Okay. Said 5, 6, and 7, correct?
Correct.
So Article 8,
Same thing. Sorry.
5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay.
Yep.
Article 9.
Sewer enterprise budget as presented. The only change was we increased Lowell Sewer. I sent the committee an email that we increased it based on the billing we recently received. Other than that, nothing else has changed. Rates will not be increasing.
So that Lowell sewer numbers updated in here.
Yes.
So is the surplus is less based on what that number was?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on Article 9? None?
No, sir.
On to 10.
Water enterprise fund, no changes since I presented. Water rates will not be increasing.
Same with the sewer rates, correct?
Correct.
Any questions on Article 10? Article 11.
Article 11 is the Stormwater Enterprise Fund. No changes to this budget and to what was presented to the Finance Committee. And the stormwater fee has not changed either.
Any questions on Article 11? We've already reviewed these. Article 12.
This is the Cable Television Enterprise Fund for the Telemedia Department. The budget remained as presented to the committee. And funds we received to pay for this budget come from both Verizon and Comcast cable television fees.
Yep. Anybody have any questions on Article 12? Thirteen.
13, this is a transfer from the stabilization fund for one-time items for town-related equipment projects. This is the same as presented during the capital budget. Equipment for the DPW, sidewalks for the DPW to extend sidewalks in the community, a new rescue truck for the fire, new ambulance, and equipment for the fire department, and upgrades to the police station to include upgrades to the gym, video cameras, and the training room.
Any questions on Article 13? Fourteen.
14 is utilizing existing sewer enterprise fund retained earnings to pay for the sewer enterprise's 50% share of a new backhoe. The other 50% will come from the water department enterprise retained earnings.
Okay, so this was half of the backhoe, right? And the other half.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Any questions on 14? Feel like we've talked about all these already.
We have, yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Good.
Article 15.
Article 15 is use of water retained earnings to pay for 50% of the loader that was mentioned from the stabilization fund. They're splitting that with the highway department, 50% of the backhoe that they're splitting with the sewer enterprise fund. The annual hydrant replacement and installation program continuing at $125,000. Water distribution upgrades to the distribution system, $1.6 million, and cleaning and inspecting the 4 water tanks, $60,000. Again, none of these have changed since I presented in the capital budget.
Yep. Any questions on Article 15? No. In addition to this water distribution amount, there's a borrowing as well, right? Someone...
Correct, right below.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Article 16.
So 1.5 million is just an annual borrowing that we have done for our water distribution projects. We try to do 2 million a year, or at least 2 million a year. This year we're seeking 1.5 in addition to the 1.6. This is all factored into the water rates that again are not increasing.
Questions on Article 16?
Yes, that might have been answered before in one of our earlier meetings. But how many miles of water main does this buy us?
I'll have to go back and just double check that. I do have it.
Okay, thanks.
Article 17.
Article 17 is we have exempt debt. We have a bond premium that we use a portion of each year to reduce exempt debt. It's on a schedule that was put together when we received the bond premium. So each year we need town meeting to approve the use of these funds to reduce the town's exempt debt. Each year it declines. This year it's $49,000.
Questions on 17? 18?
18 is the annual appropriation of $25,000 from the overlay surplus to pay for the senior tax relief program and veterans tax relief program that we have, where individuals work for the town and receive up to $1,500 off their taxes.
Okay. How many years have we been doing this, Richard?
Oh, it's got to be 7 or 8 years.
Any questions on 18?
19 is an annual article regarding the Affordable Housing Trust. You need to present to town meeting for approval the allocation plan. This is how much money we have in the Affordable Housing Trust, and it's used to create new units in some way or buy down existing units. This fund can only be used with the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Questions on Article 19? Okay. So 20.
20 is just an article that outlines the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues and the amount in each account that we'll be allocating. Each year we set aside funds for administrative costs. Then we set aside 10% for open space, community housing. We don't set aside 10, but we set aside actually more than 10% for historic preservation. But the way that works is because we have a bond issue for the town hall, that money comes right off the top. So it just goes automatically to that debt service. And that's around $340,000 next year.
Any questions on Article 20? Okay. 21, whoops.
So this is the article we can take up. I'll have more information once I finalize contracts, but this is the article I mentioned with the upgrades.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be approving cost of living increase as well as approving these particular positions to be upgraded.
Any questions on Article 21? (22)
22 is the a change to the current bylaw we have for solid waste and recycling. because we're going to now start receiving a payment in lieu of taxes because of the installation of solar panels on the Sutton Brook landfill, we're going to receive approximately $40,000 to $49,000 a year in a pilot that I would like that money, instead of going into the general fund, go into this revolving fund that currently exists. And we'll be able to use that money to offset the annual assessment and maintenance costs that we have for the landfill. Since we're gaining a revenue for the landfill, the money should go back into that assessment that we have, and not just into the general fund.
Yep, that makes sense. Anyway, any questions on 22? 23.
23 is another revolving fund. This is the creation of a revolving fund for e-billboards. The Board of Selectmen approved the town's first e-billboard. That billboard will produce a host agreement and a host fee each year of approximately $50,000. The plan is to have that, instead of that money going into the general fund, go into this revolving fund that the Board of Selectmen will be able to use for very specific areas such as sidewalk maintenance, installation, and reconstruction. Just another way of getting sidewalk work done.
Where is this e-billboard going?
It's going next to Longhorns up off of 495.
Okay. It's like a standard, like a regular billboard. It's just electronic or whatever.
Yeah, you ever see the other one on 495 right at the on and off ramp where Woburn Street is, between Woburn Street and 38 and Lowell?
Maybe I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, no,
Or if you're going down into Boston, there's one in Stoneham.
yeah, exactly. That's probably the
Okay.
most popular.
Okay. Any other questions on 23?
I have a kind of a sideways question on Article 23. Would billboards ever be available to rent by wireless telecommunication carriers to put antennas on the side of them?
That's a good question. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I don't know how that would affect. I don't know. It's a good question.
I'm thinking 5G.
Yeah, that's possible, Rich. Which, if that's the case, I would think we would be able to renegotiate our host agreement. That's a
I
good
would hope
point.
so. I would hope so. Even if it's not 5G, even if it's what we have now, if they're putting a repeater or something on there, or some sort of antenna that's going to generate revenue for that, we should get a piece of it.
That's a good question. I'll find that out.
Okay, thanks.
Any others on 23? All right, 24.
So this article, each year we come in with different articles for granting easements or accepting easements for DPW projects. And a lot of times we're in a position where we delay a project or because of granting an easement or accepting an easement. And what this article does, it kind of gives the Board of Selectmen broad authority to grant or accept easements only in conjunction with the DPW project, just so we can keep the projects moving and not have to go back to town meeting for each and every project.
Okay.
And if there's an issue with if it's a non-DPW project or a different town project, they'll have to go to town meeting, but this is just for DPW projects.
Any questions?
Actually, just one. I'm assuming this has been reviewed by council.
Yes, he has, and he's given his initial approval, but I asked him to take a real deep dive into it to make sure.
Yeah, because that would be my only concern with this.
Yep.
Article 25.
25 is land that the Open Space and Recreation Committee has determined that they would like to protect. They've identified these parcels to be put under the care and control of the Town's Conservation Commission and placed under Article 97 protection as open space. We reviewed the parcels and they all make sense.
Okay, any questions on number 25?
Yeah, just a question. Would there be maps available for this article?
There will, Tom. I plan to have that in the handout for town meeting, and I'll have those to the committee ahead of the public hearing.
Right, thank you.
This is a article to sell a piece of land to be used for affordable housing. And I got to check. Usually we don't put the map in the article. So I haven't decided if this will go in the handout or in the article itself, but it's just a parcel that currently exists that we want to sell for affordable housing in the community.
Okay. Questions on Article 26?
Just one, you say up to 3. Is the plan to do 3? Or,
They're not sure yet. There may be an opportunity to do 3. We were discussing it the other day, and we're not sure if you'll be able to get 3 in there. That's why they said up to 3. No more than that, though.
would it be valuable to say no more than that in the article or in the executive summary?
I can say that in the executive summary that will do. It'll be no more. It will not exceed 3.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think up to 3 kind of says that.
I can change that.
Number 27.
Article 27 takes a real estate exemptions that we currently grant under Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41C, and increases the amount of the exemption for, it's mostly for seniors, eligible seniors, and increasing that from $500 to $1,000. And that money will come from the town's overlay.
Questions on 27?
Just a quick one. I'm always for these articles. I'm just curious, how many eligible seniors do we typically get in a year?
I'll get that for you, Dave.
Okay, Article 28.
Article 28 is a citizen's petition that reduces the planning board members' term from 5 years to 3 years. It's a citizen's petition.
Is more in line with the other voted other committees and
Correct.
boards.
Correct.
Any questions on 28?
Yes, does that require a charter change, Richard?
Tom, we looked at that. We don't think it does. We think it can be just a Mass General change by the town meeting in accordance with MGL 41, Section 81A.
Just curious, who is we?
It was asked, the citizen who brought it forward asked, and I ran it by town council, and it looks like it's just Mass General laws.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. We already covered these, right?
Yep.
34 and 35. Yeah, we
Yep.
covered these with Steve. Okay. So that covers the annual town. to the special town meeting.
Mhm.
Warrant articles number 1.
So I just want to point out, when I finalize the warrant articles to be posted and mailed, I'll take the reasons out. I just kept those in there for the kind of cheat sheet of what we're doing. So this just addresses potential, what we're predicting as deficits in certain articles and what we're predicting as surpluses in other articles and other line items of budgets to fund for FY21. Just quickly going through them. Town manager regular salaries, both the administrative assistant and the executive assistant in the town manager's office. Their longevity was underfunded, so we needed to properly fund that. Accounting regular salaries, Ron Florino, former finance director, still assists us in a variety of manners part-time. Additional funding is needed for that. Town hall energy utilities just need more funding based on usage. That covers the town hall annex and the center fire station. Police overtime and fire overtime just need funding to cover shifts. We have between deployments as well as people who have been injured for non-work related injuries and work-related injuries, as well as covering shifts for retirements. Overtime is needed in both. Fire operating, repair and maintenance, additional funding is needed for vehicle repairs. Streetlights, bond anticipation pay down. I'd like to pay off the loan, the temporary loan we have for the streetlight conversion program, which totals $499,000, actually a little over $500 when you add this year's interest in. By paying it off now, it'll save us probably around $20,000 in interest since I plan to pay it off over 5 years. Solid waste collection and disposal. We've just seen an increase in our solid waste and trash that we're disposing at Covanta. So $40,000 is needed for disposal. And on the collection side, we're also seeing an increase cost in the amount of recycling that we're generating. And to get rid of recycling, it's costing us $60 a ton. So both are needed based on the increase that we saw over the past, during this fiscal year and over the past year. Essex Aggie Technical School, we got the final bill in for them, and just as a higher per pupil cost and additional students. And then Medicare tax, this is a function of our payroll. And a lot of times it's because we can predict what we have in our payroll pretty closely, but we can't predict how many details there are during the year for the police and fire or other additional costs that are charged to Medicare tax. So we need $20,000. Surpluses are generated because we have less subscribers than we projected for the town and school group health insurance. For library, council on aging, and fleet salaries, we've had vacant positions that weren't filled right away that caused us to have surplus in those areas. Streetlight operating, there's a surplus because we're working off of a credit that National Grid gave us this year once we converted our streetlights, and that allowed us to have a surplus in the streetlight operating budget this year.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're removing the reason column in this.
Yeah, I'm going to put the explanations in the handout in more depth. This was kind of when I was doing my Excel spreadsheet and just putting notes on why each had what. I just kept it in there.
Would it be okay to leave it in? Or is it just too much info? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into what the conflicting with an executive summary.
okay,
And,
but it'll be in the handout.
it'll be in the handout, yeah.
Okay, just as good. Any questions on this one? No. 2.
So Article 2 is the snow and ice deficits that the board will vote later. It's actually less than what was originally presented to the committee when I sent this. The deficit now is 479,674. So there will be additional, close to $20,000 available in free cash. That's I'll explain how we're going to utilize that in the next article. This is the snow and ice deficit. So the snow and ice deficit for FY21 is 479,674, and we're going to use free cash that we set aside.
Okay, any questions?
So in this article, as you can see, it's the same as similar to what I presented in the draft warrant that I sent. The only change is now that we had additional funds available from free cash, we're going to use we had additional 20,690. We're going to use it for upgrades to the recreation building on Livingston Street. The old recreation center needs to have the electric panel upgraded, and the facilities director would like to make some other improvements in the interior of the building. We currently use that for our elections, but we'd like to utilize it a little bit more, especially during the summer months. The police department intends to have a presence down at Livingston Street during the summer months, and they'll probably utilize that building as much as they can. We're not sure if we're going to use it for any type of camps by the schools in the future, depending on how things work out in relation to COVID this year. But overall, the panel down there needs to be upgraded, and we'd like to make other improvements. So we added 19,000 to this budget to do that, and that's really what we ended up doing. I also added $2,000 to the Middlesex retirement assessment to increase that for military leave, individuals who are deployed on military leave.
Okay, any questions on Article 3? 4?
4 is an unpaid bill that we received late in the year for City Hall Systems, which is the online billing system that we use. It's just a bill that was missed that came in late.
Any questions on Article 4? Deny the $500 bill.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that gets us through all the articles.
So I'll send updated warrants out once I finalize them in the next couple of days, and we should be good to go to print.
All right, sounds good.
The Board of Selectmen
anybody
are meeting on the warrant tomorrow night, and they'll take action on most of the articles, and then I'll move forward.
Okay. And if we have any additional questions, we'll just forward them to you.
Yeah, forward me any questions or anything you see, any edits that need to be changed, anything at all. I'm probably not going to go to print for a couple of days.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just have a comment on the budget, Article 4 for Richard. With regard to the handout at town meeting, Richard, will you explain in the handout the amount of money that's going to the RCC out of that Article 4 budget?
Yeah, I can do that, Tom.
I would suggest that because I've been asked some questions with
Sure.
regard to that on operation and finance.
Okay.
I think it would be appropriate because the money is being appropriated through Article 4, that at least we advise the town what our portion of the operation of that is and what the portion of Drake it is.
I can do that, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Cook. Any other questions on the warrants? Okay, I think we have some business about snow and ice over. expenditures.
Yes.
Find that. This one. Let me select. With me. You see that? Okay, so it's in the amount of $479,673.28. I believe we've already mentioned that in the articles as well. Anybody have any questions on?
I just have a comment, Mr. Chairman, and a request.
Yep.
Under this over expenditure, the 479,673. I have noted over the years on over expenditure on snow and ice that our repairs and maintenance on this budget seems to be creeping up every year. I see we've expended $99,490. If I could get a Munis printout of those repairs and maintenance and what vehicles and what equipment is being repaired, since we're buying some new equipment, I just want to compare where we're spending our money on snow and ice equipment, repairs and maintenance. So if I could just get a listing of the Munis account 5240 on repairs and maintenance for snow and ice.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this one? I would look for a motion.
So moved.
Dave,
Second.
motion to approve. Sorry, was that Tom? Second.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Rich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jason? I think you were muted, but I saw your lips.
Aye. Sorry.
Mr. Cook?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
All right, and chair votes aye as well. All right, the next item we have is a transfer. Let me pull that up. All right, we have lateral transfer number 29, in the amount of $36,000 from fire regular salary to fire overtime. Cover unexpected overtime costs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Any questions on this one?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
With regard to the overtime, was this actual firefighter overtime, or was it to put on additional ambulance time?
It's firefighter overtime. It's actually more, yeah, it's more than just COVID pandemic. We've had people out for a number of reasons, whether it's injuries that are non-work related, whether it's people retiring earlier than we expected, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
And we also had fire overtime in one of the special town articles.
Yep.
So there's quite a bit that needed to be covered here.
Correct, and there is overtime related to the pandemic for firefighters who've been out, whether it's quarantining or actually having COVID. There have been instances where we've brought in more coverage in the beginning of the year, but that's not as much as just people being out. We've tried to we've sought reimbursement, but we're not sure we're going to get it.
Like
Reimbursements under
FEMA and CARES.
CARES Act, yeah.
But we still don't know.
You just don't know yet.
Okay.
And if we do get it and it comes back in, it will just close to free cash.
Sounds good. Any other questions on lateral transfer 29? Not, I would look for a motion.
So moved.
Dave, motion to approve.
Second.
Tom, second. All right, roll call vote. Rich?
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. Okay, I believe that was all the transfers we had. Do we have any committee member reports? I think it was a green committee meeting last week. Is that true?
There was a Green Committee meeting. I didn't attend, but that was an update from the University of Massachusetts on the report they were doing on recovery, energy recovery.
Okay.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, the Green Committee appointment is by the Board of Selectmen. And the Board of Selectmen have, one of the issues is the Green Committee hasn't had a report to the Board of Selectmen in months, years, at least a year. So we should get together, the Green Committee, with a report to the Selectmen.
There's a elementary school building committee meeting this week. Is that true?
Next Thursday, there'll be an elementary school building committee.
Oh, next week. Okay.
Yeah, we meet on the second Thursday of the month. I am going to send a link to all of the members of the OPM reports. It's online, and I'm not sure if all the members know where to find it. So I'm going to send a link to all the members.
Okay, that'd be great.
Tom, I think the meeting's this Thursday.
Next Thursday. I don't see it on the calendar. The 11th.
Yeah. It's for this Thursday, the 8th.
I
It
thought I
wasn't
saw it on
posted on the calendar.
I'm looking, yeah, I think it might have been later today, Tom. I'm just looking now. It says Elementary School Building Committee on the 8th.
And it was posted today.
No, it sure was posted well before the needed deadline, but I'm just looking at it now.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was next week. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
It's tricky because last Thursday was the 1st. That's what makes it.
April Fool's Day, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have?
Couple of things, Rob.
Yeah.
First of all, Rich had a question, how many miles we do of water line with the money we have. It's about 2 miles, Rich. So just to answer that. And then
Is that $1 million
public hearing.
a mile?
Yeah, 2 miles for the $2 million.
Oof.
Yeah, we have a ways to go. The public hearing, I initially had the 21st on the cover of the warrant, just to pick a date. I know that's school vacation week. Did you want to move the meeting to the 26th, Monday the 26th?
That sounds good. When do residents get the articles?
So if I get the thing to print today, we need to mail it out a couple of weeks in advance. If I can get it in the mail sometime the end of next week, they should have it by the 26th.
Okay, I'm fine doing it on the 26th. Does anybody else have any issues on the 26th?
No, that works for me.
Okay, that should give people time to get it and look it over, hopefully. Okay. Did we have an economic development meeting last week?
No, we don't have one till the 14th.
Okay.
We have a general bylaw committee meeting this Thursday as well.
Oh, okay. We'll hear from those on the next meeting. Where's my list of things? Timesheets, no meeting minutes. Gonna go over the future dates. We just decided on the 26th. 6:30 for the public hearing, and then we'll have our usual pre-annual town and pre-special town meetings a half hour before they start. So I think the Monday is a 7 p.m. for us and 6:30 on Wednesday. Does anybody have anything else? I would look for a motion.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second,
Jason, all right. Motion and a second. Rich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jason?
aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.